In Syrian community, in Syrian, where Brother Muhammad is gone.
But perhaps you can continue with this topic of divorce as a very important subject of interest, I think.
Yeah,
whether we are Muslim or we are not Muslim.
See, in Syrian community, it's very high rate right now. I know last year, I have 4 friends, they got divorced, for different reasons. I try to see same thing in your community, Brother Jalal, or just, or in Brother Yusuf,
Well, I think in my community, it's really not and I don't know how to define my community by my national origin, Afghanistan, but I think I have been observing this trend, which is prevailing across the board of all, groups of people. The divorce element is very rapid and prevailing, and for me very unfortunate, and it's still something to be improving, and I don't know how it can be. And again, it's probably also not a matter of whether Muslim or otherwise.
Yeah, but see, the difference between Muslim and otherwise, originally the rate of divorce in Muslim community was very low. And in last 10 years, the number is growing, and last 2 years, it's very high right now. The percentage is increasing right now momentarily. And I try to see the reason for that and how we can prevent our community to fall in that trap.
I think part of it is the woman awareness of their rights. At one time, maybe they were scared or they will be shamed if they ask for divorce. They have to take all the problems that they can be, or the humiliation or whatever it is in the household. But now they can maybe say, no, I cannot stay in this relationship. That's my analysis. Because before, we are in like a community, closed, Oriental, women doesn't have a lot to say. So maybe that's one thing that changed. Because I think what else changed? Other thing, maybe we sometimes don't do our homework very well. Like before the marriage, we look at the outlook, not the core. The akhlaq or the personality. We don't do that matching between different people, but we just gather them based on how they look or how they maybe what's their work status or social status. If we do more work on getting the two, coordinate their personality or their way of thinking before they get married, or they don't. But sometimes we rush them to get married without thinking, without taking care of every single details, and then after a while, the things will start happening. That's just my analysis.
Who's Brother Nidal, you are from the new immigrants. What do you think about it?
I'm not sure if I agree entirely with the premises that Brother Muhammad laid out, and because he used the term "we rush them," like the parental influence. Not that it doesn't exist, but does it exist to the point of the parents determining the handling and executing of the daily affairs of their child, whether male or female? But his earlier part of, freedom, liberties, probably would make a consideration. But to the extent that you identified in the last 2 years, you have observed very high rates of recurrence. I wonder if that in any way has to be done with what was COVID, that in my opinion definitely changed significantly the color of life for us in all aspects, including perhaps spousal relations and family relations, and on a personal level, so many things the way we used to do changed. So I don't know if that has to do anything with it.
Dr. Said, Salam alaikum.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
We were talking about why the divorce rating is growing in our area between Muslim families or inside the Muslim families. And we try to figure out why and how we can deal with it and how we can minimize it. I know you will say we need to do our job before the marriage, but we are always in the same problems. And suddenly last 10 years, the numbers start growing very high.
No, this camera did not want to work, but
Let me just interrupt you, Dr. Sahel. Do you have statistics, or it's your own
Abdullah.
first-hand knowledge? Yeah.
No, I am talking in our community, I don't have the statistics, but, in Syrian community in last year, we have to deal with 4 cases. The female size about between 35 to 40 years old, the male size between 40 and 45 years old, 4 different families, all financially good, no problems at all. Suddenly we heard divorce happened, We just try to see why and how we can solve the problems,
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala Rasulullah. I think it's not only divorce, it's even the family situation among Muslims is really not ideal. I mean, from what I know is, yes, there is a minimum that Muslims usually abide or limit themselves, which is very strange, which is that people who are living together, but they're not really married and they're not divorced. That's it's becoming, or it has been common among Muslims, but that's very unfortunate. If you add that, which is dysfunctional or disconnected or separation, but still living together, the rate can be even much higher. Yeah. Not many, I don't think the percentage is very high of Muslims who were able to build a solid family in terms of communication, trust, affection, planning. Yes, there is no perfect family, but problems are contained, are properly handled. Respect is there. The norm. I don't think there are many Muslim family either here or in Muslim countries who manage to do that. I think the majority are, you can probably find them in the barely functional marriage. Functional meaning everybody is doing what they're supposed to do and things are moving, and that's it. And they're raising the kids, focusing on the kids, and also because divorce, it's still, especially in some circles, in some families, it's still a stigma, so people avoid it by any means. But it doesn't necessarily mean that there is a harmonious family that is offering good environment for children to be raised. All of this goes back to the fact that families are built very haphazardly nowadays, unfortunately, and they are I mean, no preparation, no reading, no counseling, like premarital counseling, and then and things starts from the beginning. They say, well begun is half done. So things starts from the beginning on the wrong direction, and then the rest is history, they say, as they say. A lot of time, this goes back also to the fact that the people get married before they become mature, meaning before knowing what they want in life, before their personality becomes well defined, so that they can really build a solid relationship. Because the casual relationship that you build, these are no problem. I mean, you can build them, you can I mean, disconnect them, you can manage. These are casual, but that relationship in particular, even Quran I mean, described in a very eloquent way. وَقَدْ أَفْضَى بَعْضُكُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ. I mean, people, there is nothing hidden. People know this is not, there is no masks that you can put, like you put when you're dealing with people in the mosque or at work or anywhere else. This is somebody who's going to know you exactly who you are. And if you are not very well defined in terms of who you are, your identity, your purpose in life, then you're going to run problems. Also, people, they don't keep themselves busy with I mean, they don't have bigger purpose in life other than the getting a degree, working, getting a job, getting a house, etc. And then there isn't much. I'm trying to join from my cell phone, so I think so. Oh, this Zoom can echo. See if it is working now. It's working, right? And
Yes.
there's no echo. Do you hear me?
No echo. Yes, I hear you. No echo. It's good. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're good.
Anyway, again, people don't have a high purpose in life. I'm talking about here and abroad. There is sometimes here probably is the problem is less because people don't have a lot of free time, but there is always some free time. And that time that if you don't fill it with something important, you're gonna, there is an Arab saying that says, Al-Fadi ya'mal qadiyan. If you have a lot of free time, then you're gonna create problems. And also I saw families don't manage to keep some sort of life for each one of them. The most successful families is that when both spouses are still have some plans and still have some life, so that they're not always face to face and always. That's some people did not succeed to do that. So bottom line, all together, if we're gonna continue doing this marriage haphazard without any reading, without any counseling, and then the counseling even after marriage is considered to be something that is not very people, it's still a stigma, or people they're not ready to do it. We're gonna continue with the situation, which is that majority of Muslim families are just functional families. Functional meaning, yes, on the surface it's working because everybody is doing what they're supposed to do, which is the basic functions, but that's not the family. There is an extra level or another level that the family need to reach beyond the fact that everybody is just doing what needs to be done, and the ball is rolling. Because at the end of the day, these are not roommates. That happens with roommates. If people live together as a roommates, yes, they need just all what they need is to agree on who's gonna do what and when, and things will work. But that's not how family function. A lot need to be revisited when it comes to spousal relationship. A lot of education is missing. I don't know about the new generations, but the old generations have very, very, very weak and almost non-existent education when it comes to sexual relationship and spousal relationship. And that has caused a lot of problems. But things have to be fixed. One of those things that have to be fixed, one of the major things that have to be fixed, because if we're going to continue with the cycle, we're going nowhere. If families are still built haphazardly and they go on and raise children haphazardly, then those children are not very well prepared to build families. We're going nowhere with this. The cycle has to be broken somewhere, and we need to confront the reality. I mean, yes, it's really understood that people have a pride, and we're not talking about people exposing themselves or revealing their private lives, but we're talking about addressing community, confronting the issue as is, because it is very serious. We are slipping it under the rug, but that's not helping solving it. Again, without any exaggeration, believe me, because of my situation in the mosque, I get exposed to many cases. A lot of things that appear okay on the surface. So I'm not talking about the divorce that Brother Abu Abdullah mentioned, divorce rate that is probably you have noticed that it is increasing. I'm talking about even those who are not divorced. There are a lot of dysfunctional families that they're just continuing either because of the kids or because they are the divorce is still stigma in their circles, and in some cases nobody has done it before in their extended families or in their large families, so they don't want to be the first to do it. But that's not the solution. That's not the solution, and that's not really very healthy. As I mentioned this last Jumu'ah, Islam focuses on individuals, families, and communities to build a solid society. And the focus is on the individual, and this individual is raised in a family and builds a family, and therefore the focus is also on the family. So individual, family, community, and society, that constitute the cycle where each component, if it becomes healthy, it can feed into the rest. So a long way to go, even if we don't have like real statistics, but I know Brother Abu Abdullah is very well connected in the community, so I'm sure he has noticed something that's abnormal. There is an uptake or spike in the divorce rate in the community. That's why he probably mentioned that even without accurate numbers or statistics.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Sahel.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing this topic into light, shedding some light. I have a question concerning the issues you spoke. Like you said, it's important that we build an individual to be able to be well defined and know our identities and goals and purpose. But there's this high misconception about, the prophet marriage to Aisha, that it is sunnah to marry while you are still young. And how do you answer such concept? And also in terms of how do we talk issues of social and sexual identities and responsibilities to our young people? Like, they are very much exposed these days, but we really don't we really don't prepare them to to understand what's going on, and as a Muslim, where we stand in these issues. So what's the best way to handle these situations? Thank you so much.
Let's take the first question. Is maturity that I talked about has nothing to do with age. People can be mature at early ages, and people can be immature even at older ages. So if we succeed in instilling this sense of purpose and sense of mission in our children early on, and then raise them in a way that they can express themselves freely, so that their personality is built in a healthy way, no suppression, and manage to have that open communication with them, so that the house is a safe place to express their opinion, to raise their any problems they have, or feelings or issues. If we manage to do that, then we can accelerate the maturity, because that's the reason why young people here are much more mature than young people in Muslim world. Is the young people here are raised this way, raised with the way they express themselves freely, their opinions. They take some responsibilities early on. They start working early on. They know the money. They can appreciate money and managing money, etc. So they are given choices early on to choose their even toys when they were very young, and their clothes. So that decision-making ability is nurtured very early on. You find the child here who will tell you, this is my preferred color, this is I like this, I don't like that, this is my, it's not the same way in many Muslim societies. So raising children the right way, the healthy way, can help them becoming mature early, and therefore they can marry earlier. With that sense of purpose and sense of mission well defined, they know exactly what they want in life, and with that well-rounded personality that was built in a healthy way. The way the personality is built in a healthy way when it has freedom to express, the person express themselves. So they there is a saying, they say, be yourself. Don't push your child to start wearing masks, because that's not good. Then the child's personality will be built, but behind the wall, or behind the barrier that you don't see it. It's behind that barrier that your child personality is again. But if you encourage them to be themselves, no masks, be yourself, express yourself. When you want them to do something, try to convince them, respect them, treat them with respect early on. Don't trash them or trash their decision or their choices or their whatever. Even in school, education, if they want to do something, you may encourage them or have a discussion with them, but don't put a lot of pressure so that they do what you like. I keep hearing this from young people here suffering. Their parents are pushing them to be physician or to go to medical school or to law school, and they don't want to. And there is unnecessary frustration there. So if we manage to do that, we can accelerate this process of maturity, and the child from 17 and 18 becomes really someone who is young adult, and almost, it's not like ready for, but at least in terms of personality and maturity, is ready to go to the next stage in life. If we're going to continue raising our children the way we're doing, then even if they are 30-year-old, they are still immature. The second question is, there are only two choices for the good thing is that people in this country, it's part of the education. They talk to them about these things, so it's not a taboo. So that's a good sign. But parents also can do their part, either by talking, like, for example, father to son, mother to daughter, by talking, or by encouraging them to read. By encouraging them to read, or even, I mean, facilitate, even making some, maybe consider making even some books available, or some material available. Because this is going to happen. This sexual education is going to happen whether we like it or not, but it can happen the wrong way or the right way. The parents should try, do their best so that it happens the right way. And it's doable, very doable. Both of them are available. The right way and the wrong way are available and accessible for youth, but parents can help and facilitate this education to happen the right way. Before marriage, parents can also help and facilitate reading. There are a lot of books there that are very, very valuable in terms of teaching spousal relationship. They don't have to be Islamic books. We shouldn't limit ourselves to Islamic books because there isn't a lot, but there are good number of good books there. Parents should try to encourage their children to read them if they didn't. Before marriage, they have to be well educated about the other gender, because very different. The genders are very different, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them very different, so that they can complement each other. Different way of thinking, different priorities, different. And a lot of problems are happening because of husbands are treating their wives as if they're friends, because they don't have any background or education. They don't know that. They're not very aware of the huge difference between the genders, so they that relationship they mess up. So education is critical. Preparation. And I said this, and I keep saying it. I wish that Muslims prepare for marriage at least as much as they prepare for wedding, because they do a lot of preparation for wedding. They spend a lot of money, but they don't do any parallel preparation for the marriage to be successful. So I wish people start preparing for marriage at least as much as they prepare for wedding. For marriage to be successful, rather than for wedding to be impressive. So it's doable. I mean, every time I raise these issues, I want to make sure that people know that it's not situation is never helpless. It just requires a will. It requires us to have the bravery to confront our problems and to change, because things will not change until you do. If you're thinking the same way and doing things the same way, then we're gonna get the same results. So when I raise those issues, it's not to say that this is hopeless or helpless, or we're no, solutions are there. It just requires an effort, and don't take anything for granted. And I keep saying that the two critical jobs that we have in life are the ones that we do them with no preparation. The job, the responsibility to be a spouse, and the responsibility to be a parent. These are the most critical jobs. I mean, see how many years you work so that you can do your 9-to-5 job, but how much preparation you did to be a good spouse or a good parent. No comparison.
Thank you so much. And how do we talk issues of this transgender and LGBTQ issue? How do we like the issues of the movement of LGBTQ? How do we talk like the best way to engage with our children, like in terms of Islamically? Yeah.
I have a feeling that we gave this much more importance than it deserves. I'm not saying we need to ignore it completely, but I think it took a lot of attention from Muslims and priority more than it deserves. It's like many other issues. Yes, it has some special aspects, but if you succeed to raise that child with a very clear identity and purpose in life, these will be minor issues. These and others, because children are surrounded with many challenges. Drugs is another one, right on the corner. Terrorism or extremism is another one. So you're surrounded with a number of challenges. It's the way you take care of the health of your children. You inoculate them so that they will not be vulnerable for viruses. Same thing for these problems. Prevention and inoculation is vaccines is the solution. Otherwise, you're going to keep running after problems all your life, and you're not going to be able to catch up. Inoculation is working on the identity and mission for the child, so that when they grow up, they are immune to these things. They're not vulnerable. You're not. You don't worry about them. It's the same thing. You take care of their health. You take care of their personality. Addressing these issues. This is a very diverse society. It has everything. It has all the religions, all kinds of social problems, etc. And we have our own set of values that we're working with. How do we deal with these people? We deal with them like anybody else. If they are your classmates, then they are your classmates. It's none of your business what they do outside the class, because the relationship is a relationship of being classmates. If they are your subordinate or your colleague or your supervisor or etc., that's the relationship. Relationship stops there. And after that, these people, that person who is your colleague, can be atheist, can be any follower of any other religion outside, can be homosexual, can be the drinker, can be whatever. That's outside the relationship. So sometimes Muslims try to address this problem the wrong way, and it backfires. First of all, it makes it more important than it is, and second, can confuse children. And this is the way I see it. First of all, is not to exaggerate in terms of importance. And number two is to put it in perspective like this. I mean, this is, we are in a very diverse societies. It has all categories of people. And you keep the relationship with everybody. I mean, the relationship that you don't choose. You don't choose your colleague, you don't choose your classmates, you don't choose your professor, you don't choose your student, etc. This is something that, but the relationship that you choose, no. To choose a friend, no, look for commonalities. Look for people who, with who you have a lot of commonalities, so that there can be strong relationship. But the relationship that are not so optional, you just treat them, deal with them the way they are. Go to your class, go to your school, focus on your schooling and on your education, and don't bother yourself or worry about the people in class, who they are or what they do, etc. They are just your classmates. So again, I'm not an expert neither in this field nor in parenting or etc. These just some thoughts that comes from experience or reading, or this is the way I see it. It has to be kept in perspective, not ignored and not exaggerated, and that has to be addressed the right way. This is a category of people, they exist in this societies, and this is free societies and free countries, and they are citizens with equal rights and equal, etc. That's at the personal level with children and with the school, etc. At the public level, we have the right as a community to have our stand and to advocate that stand. We may be against, for example, same-sex marriage, and we go out and advocate and join hands with other communities and other groups against it. That's our right, and we should use it. And nobody can blame us for doing that. This is an issue, a public issue that is subject to public debate, and that's our stand. That's our position. So putting things in perspective always can be helpful.
Thank you so much. Jazakallah khair.
Oh, yeah, inshallah.
So if no one has any question, I would like to raise another issue. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I remember, Dr. Suhail, you always repeat something very, very important and very helpful, which is 3 points that I remember. Individuals. So as individuals, we need to improve ourselves. So this is our responsibility to always improve ourselves in all means. And number 2 is to help others to improve themselves as well. And number 3 is to help the community, so we leave kind of social good impact and greater good that we have for the society around us. So that's and that's great when we think about ourselves, the others, and our community as well. When I was thinking about it, I was talking to myself. So does that include the work that we do? Let's say our full-time job, our businesses, working long hours, and doing what I need to do every day. Let's say I I train people, let's say, on different things related to their work. So yes, I benefit from that financially. I build my career, but on the other hand, I help others and I help the community. I help, let's say, the professional community to become better. So do I consider that as kind of social impact and the greater good that I share with the community, or this is something because since I get paid for that, I don't count that, let's say, in the impact that I'm planning to leave?
Anything that you do right and with the right intention, it's part of your worship and part of self-development. If you are at work and you are trying to excel in your work and perfect it with the intention that this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants and He's watching over you, not necessarily even if the boss is not around or whatever, even if you are your own boss. If you do that with the right intention, inshallah, it is an act of worship and it is an act of self-development, excellence. Anything that you do that is impacting people in a positive way, anywhere, it can also enter in that category. Even driving. When you drive, if you drive defensively, but also again with the proper intention that you're observing the law, that this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at this point expects from you, because there are expectations wherever you are. The expectation when you're driving is to drive defensively and to obey the signs and the law. You do that with the proper intention, that's an act of worship. The expectation when you are at work is to perfect your work. That's what Allah likes and loves. So that becomes an act of worship. And that applies to everything. Even time you spend with your family, that's what the Prophet ﷺ said. Even the things that we do routinely, if they are done the right way, exercising. If you're doing it to keep yourself healthy, because that's what part of your religious duty, not necessarily to impress people or to look good or etc. But that's different. You eat healthy, same thing. If you're doing it because you have the responsibility to manage your body and to keep it healthy, and in order to fulfill your mission in life, you need to stay healthy all the time. All of this become an act of worship. And subhanallah, the difference between an act of worship and a habit is the intention. Two people go to the gym. One is exercising to be impressive. One is exercising because with the right intention. It's an act of worship for the second. It's not an act of worship for the first. They are doing the same thing, same work. Two people are working. One is perfecting their job and doing it to the fullest extent because that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants, etc. That's an act of worship. Somebody else is doing it purely for promotion or purely to impress the boss. Then that's what they get. They get what they asked for or what they intended.
Even if we are getting paid for that.
Even if you're getting paid. Allah, Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned even spousal relationship can be an act of worship. Even it's to that extent. So it's not because you're getting paid, it cannot be an act of worship. No. There are people who are doing a lot of good work, but they are paid for it. They are in non-profit organizations, but they're paid. Again, with the proper intention, that's all good work. Actually, the bulk of our worship is what we do to help others. Because what you do directly between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to take a long time, big part of the day. How much time are you going to spend praying? Even if your prayer is perfect, it's going to end up with half an hour or 40 minutes or whatever. How much time are you going to spend doing dhikr or reading Quran or anything? Like the pure worship acts between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How about the rest of the 24 hours or the 16 hours or the 18 whatever hours? It is the bulk of our worship is what we do to make other people better people and to make this world a better place. That's our mission. That's the essence of our deen. The essence of our deen that was lost is what do you do for yourself to be a better person? What do you do to help people around you becoming better individuals? What do you do to help making this world a better place? That's the essence of our religion. And that's the essence that was lost. That was lost. And then the other things were blown out of proportion. So our deen became deen of rituals and fiqh. It's all halal or haram, hal yajuz, is this lawful, is this not lawful, as if it's a book of law. And then the focus on the appearances, the beard, etc., and the focus on the rituals. Why? Because the essence was lost. The essence of our religion are those three things. What do you do to become a better person, including a better worshipper, servant of Allah, spiritual development, knowledge, skills, everything that you do to become a better person. Better person spiritually, your character, your knowledge, your skills, your finances, anything that makes you better and makes you stronger, because that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves, and have more impact. Second is, what is it that you're doing to help individuals around you becoming better people, uplifting them, mentoring them. Third, what is your contribution to the greater good? What is it that you're doing to make this world more just, more morally sound, more environmentally sound, more whatever? What are you doing in all these regards? So that's what we need to revive. We need to revive the essence of our religion that was lost over the centuries, and put everything back in perspective. Islam was there in Mecca for 13 years without any of the things that we consider now the essence of our deen. There was still fasting was prescribed in Medina, alcohol was forbidden in Medina, zakat was prescribed in Medina. Everything came later. What we consider as Islam now came later. So what we were doing in Mecca, was emphasizing the essence of this religion, that Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam wanted to get that commitment and pledge from people to dedicate their life to Allah and to do what needs to be done, regardless, whatever it takes. That's what Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was implanting and rooting and instilling in Mecca, and that's the essence of our deen. Then came the sha'air to support you in that mission. And then came the things that are forbidden, because these things are either harmful to you or can distract you from your mission, so they were forbidden. That's the paradigm that we need to rebuild. There is an essence of religion, and which is mission and goals. And Iman, relationship with Allah, that triangle. And then there are supporting things that were prescribed to support you in this. Some of them are sha'air, rituals, and some of them are fiqh, halal and haram. That's to support you doing the job. But now we abandoned the job, and we were only sticking to the tools that were prescribed to help you doing the job. It's like somebody who is filling their cars fueling without using it, or somebody who is working out, or an athlete or sports team. They work out, but they don't participate in competition. They're just always in training, always there. What's the point? And then you have the NBA or NFL starts, and they're not there. They're just still exercising, working out. That's what we're doing. Even though it looks like sarcastic, but that's what we're doing. We forget that these are preparation for you to do the job.
Dr. Sahel, thank you for this reminder. I think also another issue that a lot of time keep us away from working on ourselves is meddling into other people's, like being too much concerned about others, maybe like in terms of we take more responsibility of others than ourselves. So like in terms of judging others, or no boundaries, and start questioning other people's iman and their practice of Islam and stuff like that, and then we claim that this is, as Muslim, we are required to look after each other. So I think there's that misconception, right?
I'm not sure I got the point because you broke
I
out.
mean, like, there we kind of skip the first aspect of taking care of ourselves, like building on us, on working on our self-development. So we are more concerned about others. Like we think that we have that more responsibility of other people, and in the end we come with that mentality of judgment, and you're not a better Muslim, why are you wearing this way, or why are you eating this, and we bring that halal and haram, and yeah, and then we claim that as Muslim we are responsible in reminding each other or looking after each other, but the way we do it, we point fingers on others before we work on ourselves. I don't know if you get me.
It is one of the misconception, and leaving the job that Allah has assigned to us and trying to do a job that Allah has reserved for himself, which is to judge people, and confusing fact that caring about people has nothing to do with judging them. And anyone who claims to do da'wah but they're not compassionate, they are doing something else, because there is no da'wah without compassion. Da'wah should come out of compassion. That's what the Prophet was doing, and that's why Quran was revealed to tell him, take it easy on yourself, because he was so eager to get these people to listen and to embrace this message that Quran had to counsel him in number of times to tell him, at the end of the day, your responsibility is just to deliver the message. You shouldn't take it easy on yourself. So it was really, there can be no da'wah without compassion. And this idea of judging and as appointing ourselves as judges to say who's going to go to hell and who's going to go to heaven is very ridiculous, because that's the thing that Allah has reserved exclusively for himself. And this idea is to claim that, also to appoint yourself to decide who is a good Muslim, who is not, is also ridiculous, because that's not our job. Our job is to help people, helping them becoming better individuals by example first, and then but by whatever advice and knowledge that we can share with them that can help them in this life or in the hereafter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala beautifully calls it وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ. Of course, you may go to Mufassirin and say al-khair here means al-Islam. I don't know why Allah could have said that يدعون إلى الإسلام. يدعون إلى الخير, they call for everything that is good. Anything that can help people in this life and in the hereafter can fall under the category of da'wah. That you're inviting people to do what is beneficial for them in this life and in the hereafter. When you share your knowledge, when you share an advice, when you share your experience, when you recommend something for people to read, whatever you share with others that can help them in this life or in the hereafter, can fall under that da'wah ila al-khair, calling to that which is good. So yeah, that's also another part of the misconception, is abandoning or neglecting the job that Allah has assigned to us and busy ourselves with the job that Allah has reserved for himself, and then claiming that we're doing that because we are responsible. No, we are not responsible. Even the prophets are not responsible for the decisions of others. إنما عليك البلاغ. إنما here exclusively. Your job ends at delivering the message. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressing the prophet. And then the verse goes on to say, وَعَلَيْنَا الْحِسَابِ. But judgment is for Allah. A lot of things need to be corrected and fixed. That's one of those misconceptions that rather than busying yourself with others, busy yourself with your own development. Because anytime you see someone who's busy with others, it means that implicitly they think they are doing everything they are supposed to do, or they're perfect, so now they can be judges. That's not true. No matter how good you are in terms of worship, you still have a long way to go. No matter how much knowledge you have, you still have a long way to go. No matter how good your character is, you still have a long way to go. So keep yourself busy with your job. Your job is to work on yourself and to maximize, to be the best possible version of yourself, and to maximize your contribution to the greater good and your positive impact on others. That's your job. And that's what you're going to be held accountable. Allah will never ask you, will not ask you why this person did not embrace Islam. Allah will ask you about your job. Those items in your job, what did you do? Unfortunately, many Muslims, they think that their job ends in praying and fasting. And they think they're ready to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just because they are avoiding a couple of major sins and they are doing a couple of fara'id. That's not true. And I always say that many Muslims will be probably surprised on the Day of Judgment when they realize that what they thought that is their job was only partial, was only part of the job they have chosen to do, but they did not put the effort to learn their job description and fulfill it. They wrote their own job description.
Assalamu alaikum. I want to add something maybe related to the subject, but this Friday I was listening to the khutbah, to the sermon, and it was mentioned, the khutbah was good, but there is something was mentioned about what the first thing Sayyidina Muhammad Rasulullah, the messenger, established in Medina as soon as he arrived. And it's true, he established the masjid, but the masjid at that time, from the seerah, if you look at the seerah and the different actions that happened there, it wasn't only for salah. It wasn't only for Muslims, only for the group of Muslims. It was actually for everybody. Rasulullah used to meet with the Christian delegations. He used to meet with everybody. He used to do a lot of stuff in the masjid. So we tend sometimes to isolate ourselves. But if we look back in the seerah, the history of Sayyidina Muhammad, we will see that's different. But for some reason, our understanding is kind of, we are eliminating a lot of aspects of Islam by doing that. That's my comment question.
What was the khutbah about?
The khutbah was about a lot of stuff, but the main thing, if the masjid Sayyidina Muhammad established in the Medina Munawwara, was not only for salah. Muslims believe it was only to gather, like what we have masajid here. we gather, we do salah, we do some activities. But it was, from my understanding, it was actually to receive a lot of people from different faiths, or maybe solving problems in the whole society, not only for Muslims. It wasn't exclusive for Muslim. It was inclusive to every citizen in that society. So, I mean, we
That's
are
true.
not limited to prayers. Islam is not only 5 prayers and some rituals and siyam and hajj. No, it's actually go to the every single aspect of the society. I mean, we discussed the core values of Islam, and the justice, betterment of people, improvement of life, a lot of stuff that came in the core. I mean, that you can see that in the core values of Islam by understanding the importance of the ayat. There's ayat that keep repeating islah or adl or i'mar. So these core values are, yani, if we read Quran with tadabbur, with understanding, we can see that. You just not to memorize and, you know, look at the tone if it's nice recitation. No, we have to go deeper, and we can see all these core values.
That's true.
Jazakallah.
Yeah, that's true. And the community should be built around that mission and maqasid, and our gathering and meeting should be to discuss what is the best way to do that. And even our khutbah should be focusing on that. But if the community was built just as a place for people to worship and gather, then we get what we see now. But if we want it to be really prophetic community, then it should be built around a true leadership and around the mission and those ultimate purposes of Islam. And everything we do in the mosque should be geared toward that, which is how best we can fulfill that mission, where, how long, how well are we doing? Are we fulfilling it? But unfortunately, our community was not built for that purpose, was not built along the prophetic community, was built for a very limited purpose, which is to preserve the, to offer a worship place and preserve the identity of immigrant people until they go home. That was the main purpose for to build our community. And even if it wasn't understood, because community was not planning to settle, but from Islamic perspective, even that it's not right. Even for an immigrant community, it should not be built for that limited purpose, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الَّذِينَ إِن مَكَّنَّاهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ, wherever they settle, أَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتَوُا الزَّكَاةَ وَأَمَرُوا بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَنَهَوْا عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse in Surah Al-Hajj is telling us that this community, wherever it settles, they're going to fulfill that mission of Amr Ma'ruf and Nahy Anil Munkar. They're not going to say, we're immigrant, we are here temporary, so we just want a place to pray and to protect ourselves from the society. That was wrong. By Islamic perspective, is what was wrong. So, and unfortunately, it did not change even after it became clear that this community is not going anywhere. We did not go through a paradigm shift. We just tried to improve and patch that existing paradigm. So we added some civic engagement activity, some here and there, but we did not change the foundation or the paradigm on which this community was built. It should be a community that is built to fulfill the mission of Islam and the ultimate purposes of Islam. And we should hold ourselves accountable based on that. What is our impact? What difference we made since we settled? It's not like, alhamdulillah, the mosque is bigger, or we were renting place and now we have our own place, so we're successful.
we have more mosques, or we used to have one Jumu'ah, now we have 2 or 3, so we are successful. These are wrong indicators. That's not how you measure. These are not the right performance indicators in Islam. The right performance indicator in Islam is the difference that you are making in the lives of people and the impact you are making on the society. And if we hold ourselves accountable with that standard, I don't think the results are very encouraging in terms of what difference we made in the city, neighborhood, county where we settled. What problems did we help solving? كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس. You were a community that was sent to serve and guide and lead, not to worry about its own needs only, like any other minority.
If nobody has any other question, I think we will see Dr. Suhail next Sunday, inshallah, at noon.
إن شاء الله.
Okay, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
ورحمة الله وبركاته.